This is Northwood Cemetery at Cowes on the Isle of Wight. It is the largest cemetery on the Isle of Wight. I've not been here before. We're just going to have a walk around and see if we can find some interesting memorials or unusual inscriptions. As you can probably see, it's actually raining this afternoon, but we'll do our best despite that. There's a tall one here just inside the gate with a very clear inscription, but unfortunately it doesn't tell us very much more than the names and the dates. So this is Helen Atke, the wife of Pascal Atke, and she died in 1853, aged 35. And there are other names further down. Very clear inscription. The whole cluster of gravestones here, and they all seem to be for the Woodyear family. Woodyear. There's an extraordinary inscription on this one. This is to Augustus Frederick Hamilton, born at Calcutta, and the rest of it not so easy to read. But on the side, look at this. In my professional career, I've outstripped and left far behind many competitors who had apparently much the advantage of me, both in mental and bodily powers, and although of a feeble frame and constitution, I have, without ever asking the advice of any medical practitioner, since I was 25 years of age, been something deserved to enjoy a long and happy life. I have been rescued from shipwreck when 17 individuals perished, have been many times preserved unharmed in terrific pestilence when innumerable victims were dropping around me every side and from various other appalling perils. And then on this side it continues, I have also marvellously escaped so that I may gladly and gratefully proclaim and testify that the Most High hath dealt wondrously with me. And he moves off into the religious realms here. Amazing to see that on a memorial. This tomb here, the inscription is not straightforward to read, but that's not really the important bit. Has coats of arms on all sides. There's 3 there. There's a coat of arms here. If I come round here, again coats of arms. I'm not sure what we've got here, whether it's a tomb or perhaps a drain cover or maybe an air raid shelter. There is a stone at the far end which may belong to it, but the inscription is not straightforward. Colonel William Leader Maberley. As member of various parliaments, he sat for Westbury, Northampton, Shaftesbury and Chatham. He was successively Surveyor General and Clerk of the Ordnance, Commissioner of Customs, Secretary of the General Post Office, and a little bit more. First of all, we have his son, and then Catherine Charlotte Maberley, his wife. A very solid piece of stone here with this Celtic cross on it, and a very clear inscription. But unfortunately, it tells us little more than his name and his dates. Doesn't tell him what he did, doesn't say what he did in life. This one's to Harry Aubrey, the 4th son. It always makes me laugh when these titled people repeat names. Harry Aubrey, the 4th son of Sir William Carter Hofmeister, MD of Cowes, and a few other names beneath. Another interesting stone design here. It's sort of 2 stones, yet it's 1 stone. I rather like that. Nicely done. And here they've done a pair of stones matching adjoining plots. This one's to Emily Vivian, widow of Admiral James Rattran, and afterwards of William Crispin, Captain RN and ADC to the Queen. This one's distinctive because of the image of the sailing boat. Basil Harding Grant, or Grand, died 1947, but the image there is presumably of his yacht. Further into the graveyard now, and this area has been left to grow wild. It's always quite nice to see that, let the wildlife grow up amongst the stones. This is a very prominent and well kept corner plot with the, at the top there, "Rise, let us go hence." But down here it tells us this is in memory of Freddie, the youngest son of Admiral the Honourable Sir S.C.J. Colville, Captain the Gordon Highlanders, who was killed leading his company as St. Valery en Co. in 1940, aged 27. Next to it is another very large one, but sadly, being underneath the trees, the moss and lichen have made the inscription unreadable. No doubt it could be cleaned up quite successfully. Now this is a very large stone, and in front of the cross are these lilies, beautifully carved into the stonework. The inscription at the bottom is to Olivia, the wife of Richard Graham of Netherbury, and so forth. But as an example of the stonemason's craft, that's quite amazing. A pair of stones here. This is for the bearings, Charles and Helen, Lieutenant General in the Coldstream Guards. Another large plot here with a very solid granite cross in it, and the family name here is Cust, C-U-S-T. We always like a good angel, even if they often look rather morose. Here she is, and the inscription, I love the way the toes always show at the bottom. Again, it's Lieutenant Colonel Allen. Again, the surname is Cust. And here we have another one, hands clasped together but looking into the distance. And again we've got the toes coming out the bottom of the flowing gown. There's one here lying horizontal, deliberately lying horizontal, with some very interesting insignia. We have the very well carved Celtic type cross at the top. Then we're coming down to two birds, and at the bottom two more, and then we're coming down to all sorts of vines, very elaborately carved. And at the bottom here it tells us it's to Arthur Woodall, Gillett, Rear Admiral. There's a war grave here to CXL of HMS yacht Lady Blanche, died 1915. And another mention of a war casualty here at the bottom, Maurice Edgar, killed at Gallipoli, 1915, aged 34. Here's one you don't see very often. This is to J.S. Bell, an air mechanic of the Royal Flying Corps. The Royal Flying Corps was the predecessor to the RAF, changed its name in 1918. You don't often see the RFC. Always like to see the Army Cyclist Corps, HF Cave, 1918, age 26. Moving even further into the graveyard, an area that looks as though it's still currently being used. And we've got a group of at least 5 war memorials here. 2 in the front row here are both of the Searchlight Regiment. If we go back to the ones behind, we've got wireless operator air gunner, wireless operator air gunner. And if we go right back to here, we've got Mr. Locke of the Royal Army Ordnance Corps, 1912. We have this prominent memorial here to those that died, civilians who died in air raids in the Second World War. There's around 30 names there, and it looks as though they're actually buried here, not just remembered, because the grave stretches away each side of this memorial. At the far end of the graveyard we have a small area here with stones that look as though they are belonging to the Muslim faith. There's even a brand new burial there. Something a little less common here. G.R.J. Downer, the Army Dental Corps, 1940, age 23. Pair of graves here to the Barings. We've come across that name before here. This is Baronet Godfrey Baring, Sir Godfrey Baring of Nubia House, Cowes, and his wife. Well, this stone has fallen. It has an anchor at the top, and it's to Charles J.R. Deacon, ERA apprentice, Royal Navy, the beloved and only son of C&M Deacon, and he was aged 15 years and 8 months when he died in 1921. It's a shame the stone has fallen over, because there is every chance now that it'll get covered or broken. I always like the unusual names. So here we have Avis Twort and Avis Doreen Twort. That's a first for me. I picked this one because of the rather unusual design of the stone, and also very elaborately constructed on the cross here. The name underneath is Heber Perry. 3 stones here to the Burton family, but what stands out is the rather unusual design at the top with the 3 pointed bits, quite unlike anything else around here. This one is to the Reverend Henry Griffith, once principal of Brecon College and afterwards congregational minister at Liverpool, Bowden and Barnet. Born 1812, died 1891. And finally this one, a little different in design, quite elaborate. It should be possible to read the inscriptions. There's a metal plate on the other side which gives some more details. Well, I'm going to call that a day. Most of the time I've been here it has been raining. It's rather damp, but I'm really glad I didn't miss out on this one. There's a lot of interesting memorials in this graveyard. So if you're in Cowes, come up the hill on the Newport Road and you'll find the largest cemetery on the Isle of Wight, and it's well worth a visit. Till the next time.